Welcome back to our listeners, the art community. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for listening in. We have another dope episode for you all. A talented artist that we met, and he's gonna share his story, share his point of view, and everything he has to offer to you all. So without further ado, I would like to give it up for Kobe. Y'all, give it up. Hey. Yes.
Welcome, Kobe.
Thanks for
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get into the story, I kind of want to just emphasize how we met. It was at the Underground, First Fridays. Yeah. Tell us how you heard about it, and when we got in there, you had your own setup. Like, just tell me how you heard about it and how you got involved.
Oh yeah, so I was in art school, stressing out, and I got a DM. So regularly, I still paint. I still like to show what I do. So Amber reached out and she was like, "Oh, come join us at this Underground and come showcase your art." And I did that, and it's been up from there. Just meeting different people and expressing myself, and yeah.
Is Amber the director of
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Amber's like the director of the visual section of it.
Okay.
So yeah.
How do you go about getting your own space? Like, you just sign up, or like, how's that process work?
It just the first time I did that, I shared with two other people, but the next time I got my own space, and then the other time I got my own space too. It's just divine. Like, when I want something from the universe, I'm like, okay. It just happens.
It just happens.
Yeah.
So, like, it's simply at that.
Yeah. Do you pay for? Is there like a vendor fee?
No.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Now there's really no excuse for me not to say.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
definitely,
We're gonna get there.
I'm so serious. Like, when I'm telling you, like, everyone has these fractions of dreams in them, and it's just pieces that make the whole. Your story inspires someone else. Like, they just need to hear that one thing, and it just starts something. So going through these art shows and just like being in a space where people come into my space, and it's almost like I'm naked. I am naked in that room. Like, my whole paintings are there that in my head I've just been to myself. But when someone looks at it and is just staring at it, I'm like, what are they gonna say? What can you say? And they say what I was feeling, and it gives me words to describe what I'm seeing and how I'm expressing myself, because the emotional language was very limited when, like, during the times of creations. So when someone's telling me about how they feel about what they're seeing, that's when I'm like, oh, okay, sadness can be interpreted into different words, like grieving, like it's
and colors, because I don't know if you remember the conversation I had with you. I said, you have a lot of blues. I said, you know what that means? I said, blues represents sadness. For like blue, like especially that piece I saw, I was like, it looks like they're drowning, they're trying to get above water. God. I was just in
my head I was like, oh, it's aesthetics. But when people started reading more into it, like the balance with the shadows and the light, I'm like, okay, stop. You reading, like, it's like they're just reading me, like it's an open book.
Yes.
It's very vulnerable. Very.
I want to add to that, because honestly, you did your job. Because you know what someone once told me? It was like, you don't supposed to have to, like, pretty much dissect your art, but as long as you make them feel something, as long as somebody feels something when they look at something, you did your job. You're not responsible how they feel, but as long as they do feel.
Tell us about art school. Let's start with art school, and then we're gonna work our way.
Definitely. Art school. Let's start from the beginning of everything. So coming to America, I've been doing art.
Oh, tell us where you're from. Tell everybody where you're from. We
Okay.
know, but
Okay, yeah. So I was born and raised in Ghana, and I came to America when I was 10. And I've been in Douglasville, like Atlanta area, like my whole entire life. And yeah, so going through the system, I've always, been an artist, which is great. When it's time to, teach, like do an activity, I do something, and the teacher's like, wow, I need to hang this somewhere. And it always being like validated that way. And friends would be like, okay, I never took it seriously. And I just draw on my books. And then it was in high school when my teacher really saw me. I was really excited for art club in particular. Like high school art club. I want to join art club. So, and it's like my dad knew that school was where he wanted me to go. I need to talk to him. But it's opening up my eyes to that. We went to a magnet school. I didn't know. I thought it was just a regular school. But when we went there, I applied. I just turned in my sketchbook, not really pieces. And I got in. And that right there opened gateway to everything.
Yeah.
I was exposed to different mediums to create: watercolor, acrylic, gouache, and then oils. After oils, I was just like,
this is it.
It's it. It's just like, I just indulge in the creation process. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so art school, college.
And then college. So I applied for SCAD. SCAD is my dream school. I applied for that, but it was expensive. I got scholarships and everything, but I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. But I applied for Georgia State too.
Okay.
And I got into Georgia State, and I'm glad.
I went to Georgia State.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I love Georgia State. Like Georgia State is the college experience.
Yeah.
Downtown Atlanta.
Yeah.
Freedom. Like
Yeah.
the meal plan, everything. It was
great.
Yeah. And I was majoring in oil painting. Like
Okay.
painting, like traditional painting. And I was just the only one. I'm over here with my big old art bag going to class. It's just me.
Yeah.
I just stood out like a sore thumb, and it was interesting. But looking back in my life, I've always stood out. But now I finally got to a point that I wasn't made to fit in. I was like questioning everything. I was just simply made to stand out.
Yeah.
And just looking at everything from a individual perspective, so I can understand the collective. It's deep. But
Yeah.
we go there
later.
But art school. So, and then I started losing myself because I was too alone. So I broke myself down to fit in. And in doing so, I lost myself and ended up in a hospital, mental health. It was like a spiral down. I hit bottom.
I think a lot of us artists have felt that, experienced that, might be in that, currently. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was, and then the friends that I thought they were my friends, we were friends from elementary school. It was just interesting. It opened my eyes. Like, people don't really got you like you got them.
Yeah.
Like how caring and like dedication I would take, and to really show up for someone, it wasn't given that way. And they just opened my eyes. Like, I need a new environment, like, so I can just be. So I was like, whatever. I applied to SCAD, got that, scholarships. Yeah, check. I got a whole package, and I attended my dream school. So new change, new everything, and I changed my major from painting to animation. I already know how to paint, so I want to do something new. And I don't regret it, but it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like, animation is not easy. You can't rush animation. Like, painting is very subjective.
Yeah.
And with the skill set and everything I've learned from however long, I can be like, oh, it might not be what I would like it to be, but it's presentable. Everyone likes it. I know the limit to how that is. But animation is something you have to take your time with, and it's a team job, and that taught me a lot too. So, and then I graduated in spring, and it's like
which year?
This year.
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Big congratulations. I saw your robe and everything.
That was at that one.
Yeah.
So it was simply divine, because in preparing for that show that you came to, I missed my graduation ceremony.
Oh.
I know. It was wild.
Listen, graduation. When I graduated from Georgia State, literally the whole time I was just like, I don't know. I was just like so not even present. I was just like, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like mentioning names, like
Yeah. I mean, it was like kind of long,
Yeah.
and actually, no, it was kind of long. And then you have to sit through everybody's name, and I was like, I wasn't as thrilled as I thought I was gonna be. I was like, man, I don't have to go to class anymore.
the realization.
Yeah.
I
I was excited about that, but I was just sitting there and I was just like, wow, this is it.
Yeah. Welcome to the real
this
world.
is welcome to the real world.
4+ years,
Yeah.
like just doing
But I kind of was still working though. Like I still had a job lined up. So, because that's when we were talking with Jeff about the play that I stage managed.
Gotcha.
I was already hired for that.
Okay.
So
You were set, so
Yeah.
your worries were
Yeah.
happy for you.
Yeah. You know, before we went, I want to add to what you said about it's interesting just hearing how you said how you had to find yourself. And you know, one thing I realized as I gotten older, like I started learning more about myself at 25 and 26. And the reason being,
preaching to the choir.
yo, let me say something. The reason being is because my friends, my college friends, they all started having children, and they wasn't available like how they used to be. So with that being said, like, because throughout my journey, like you thinking like you know yourself, but really like you kind of just following what you used to do. You hanging out, going to parties, whatever they doing, y'all just doing it, and not knowing that like when they start having children, they wasn't available. I had to figure out, so what are your real interests?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what do you really like to do? You know, because they not available no more.
Right.
So that was like my beginning of my stages of figuring out who I am and learning more about myself and getting back in tune with who I am.
That is so, I feel like, man, that's just so real. I feel even now, like, yeah, like 25 and moving up, even now for me about to enter 30 in a few months.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm even still getting to know my true self. And I feel like that is showing up more in how I'm navigating like my creativity and what matters, and you know, that vision in my voice. Because I was going to ask you too, when you said you spiraled, how did you find your voice again? Like,
Fuck it. I don't care. Fuck it. Yeah, so just going out partying, and Georgia State is a party school. Come on, Commons, Central, North. We just hit up kickbacks, 112 right there.
Right.
We just lit. Like, it was a lit school, and I'm glad it brought me out my shell, because in high school I was just homebody. So college, I was like, oh, I get to be free. Exactly. And I went the extreme limit and tried so many things. And I was like, started coping on weed, like to like, I'm like, I need to just escape, you know? Started depending on it and everything. And then when I went home and I got a break from that, and it started hitting me like, that's not me. Who's that? What? Partying? That was just me drunk. That's not me showing up for me. And I just was so depressed, and I started getting more depressed and depressed. And I remember one time I was home and I just could not move my body. Yeah. My dad found me in the shower. It's like, Kobe, are you okay? Like, I was like, lost the will to, I was like mentally not there. And then we went to Grady and stayed at the mental space. And that's where I got diagnosed with bipolar depression, bipolar 2. So, and that's a whole thing. And just in that space, I had to find myself again.
Yeah.
Literally find myself, because I'm like, these clothes are not me. I don't look like me. I need I wasn't taking care of myself, like skincare. I love indulging and like self-care. And I
Right.
wasn't doing that because I was always going to help people out. I don't have an outfit for the party. Oh, I need to get ready for it. You know, I didn't even get myself ready to go help them, then come back. So my energy was just dispersed, and I was just like, yeah. And what you guys are saying is so key. Like, right, I'm gonna be 26 next week, so it's right there, finding myself. And like literally the season that's calling me is walking into my true authentic self.
Yeah.
No fucks given, like just no limitations, just be in it. And just, there was this question I've always been asked, like growing up, going to school, like, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Like, why are you so different? Like things I would do, and people ask me why. I was like, I have to explain myself being me. Like it was really, I didn't understand it. It conflicted me. And then someone told me, why not? So the response would be, why not? Just be me. So the journey now is just, you know, going to your inner child. Who was that child without anyone telling you what to be in this world? Like, you know, that is the answer. Like your inner child is everything. Like looking at adults like my parents, like I'm looking at that kid back there who didn't get the love from their mom or their dad. Like I'm talking to him, not the hurt, trauma,
Right.
having to be mad at the world because they had to force a grow up version of him. That's not him. That boy is still there. If that boy is good, and everything else just balances itself and starts the process of healing too.
Yeah, that's the kid. Like you said, the kid still lives in all of us. You know what I mean? And I say it all the time: paint your own picture. What does success and happiness look like to you?
You're your word.
Yo, listen, man.
Right. You're so good. Like,
Paint your own picture.
like really good. Like,
It's definitely trying to find your voice when you're shifting through different things, whether especially mental health, which is such a big problem. You know, a big thing. A lot of people are it's starting to become a little bit more like normalized, and you know, you're not necessarily looked at as a crazy person. It's like, no, this is a normal thing. And when you are going through it, having support is very important. Having support is so important.
wow, I'm glad you said that. Support.
Yeah, because not everybody gets it. So many people need it. Not everybody understands it. Not everybody wants to understand it, you know, for various reasons. So, you know, you have to, it's like you're going through this new thing. Okay, this is something that I'm dealing with. I have an understanding of it, and I need to learn how to navigate that and manage it, and then also rediscover who I am.
That's work. You know? That, I believe that should be the only work that needs to be done on this earth. You know? It solves and fixes everything on its own. The support aspect of it, that's key. And on this journey, I've realized that women are nurturers and creators, and men are supporters and, like, you know, builders of it too. That's the two polar like energies.
Listen,
I've
that
noticed.
is a whole conversation.
And going through that, and me being a man and an artist, I realized that I had to identify the two, what energies to bring in, you know, because I'm creating. Men do not, create like how that is. Like, art is a feminine form of expression. And in being that, I've found I didn't have the words to explain what I was doing. I was speaking to women and be like, oh, so you did this and this. And right now you just brought the point about the support. And that's what connected everything. That, you know, men are not given space to be emotional. So when they're facing something, they don't know what it is. They just feel like I have to just push through it and just grind through it.
Right.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like a big realization on that. Like, we have to create the spaces for that healing to start.
Right. Man, it's making me think about many years ago.
Yeah.
This girl told me, she said, "You're a human before you're a man." And I was like, oh God, here we go. And I was like, she messed me up. To this day, I still, going back to what I told you at the library, when people say stuff, things just stick. Like, I take it with me. My mother always had sayings. But that was back then, I didn't recognize. I was 22. But years later, I see exactly what she was talking about, especially with the conversation we having just now, what you just said. Yeah, men don't know how to do that a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like, it's always the grust to grind through it. You know what I mean?
And I honestly do not blame. I do not.
I don't blame nobody.
I really
don't.
It's not their fault.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a form of hurt, you know? Like, I'm not saying it's the woman's responsibility on that. Like, you're not responsible for no one's emotional, like, health. But, like, it starts from motherhood, too. Men don't cry. Like, all that stuff, too. Like, wipe your tears, boy. And then the man would say that, too. And, like, it just starts there. It's like a cap on how your branches needs to be.
Right.
And now I'm just creating art. Now I'm very intentional and precise with my art. Now going to these shows has shown me that, you know, people are seeing these stories and they tell me their stories too. That's what opened my eyes. My God, you're bipolar too? Like, I'm not defined by the condition or whatnot, but it's just part of the story to see how to heal other people who truly make that their identity. There's an out for that, you know? Art is an expression. There's music, there's poetry, you know, there's writing, there's all these other things. And there's painting too as well. Dancing, like,
I love dancing. It's so expressive.
So
yeah.
Exactly. And it's just forms of ways to just create. And if you're not creating, you're just being stifled and not really expressing who you are or being who you are.
Yeah.
You just be stuck with all these labels.
Exactly. People are like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I never fit in that way.
That's why this community is so important to me. Like, creating safe space. I love Lauryn Hill, right? And on her MTV Unplugged, when she's talking in the intros, like in between the songs,
I love those.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and something that she said is like, you know, we're all in the same boat, going through the same stuff, even if it's like a totally different situation, but we all are carrying pain and struggle and trying to do the best that we can and all of that. And so as artists, it's like we are all in the same boat, learning and relearning our craft.
That's one thing I'm learning. Yeah.
Feeling, you know, like not understood or you know, you know, not feeling understood, feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, this person is doing XYZ and I'm not there, you know, how can I get there? You know, putting so much pressure and not realizing like we all have our journey and our path and our own timing. And if we just had support to let us know, like, and sometimes it takes just having support from people that's doing what you're doing, you know?
Yeah. You can use that word support. I'm just like, connecting it. It was the missing key. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of support? Because I'm in 07, and I ain't gonna say her name, but my aunt, I was gonna get into media, and one thing she told me that sticks with me to this day, she said, "You sure you want to do that?" And I was just like, because I thought she was going to be like my mom. Like, my mom was concerned about creating a living, you know, understandable. But she was like, you know, I don't think you had a personality for media. And I was just like, and I said, you don't know nothing about it. But like, that could have crushed me.
Right.
But instead, it motivated me. But I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
Ain't stopped since. You know what I mean?
You already know.
Yeah.
But imagine some of the people that will hear that and then believe it because maybe it's something else that they're already going through and feelings that they're holding on to and don't understand, you know, how to navigate. And then they keep hearing like, you're not good enough, or you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that. And then they don't. And then now we have so many people in workplaces that aren't doing what they should be doing. They're not fulfilled. They're, you know, just moving through the day.
Yeah.
Not happy with where they are, you know, or whatever, just working to pay bills, or, you know, working just to take care of the family. So I do believe that it's so many people that are just not fulfilled, you know. So it's like, it's great when you are able to take certain negative comments and then use that as fuel. But it also can be heartbreaking to think that, you know what, there is somebody out there that is hearing those negative words and are believing them.
Yeah. That's a fact. Yeah.
Like,
you know?
You said it.
Yeah, you said, yeah.
You really did.
You're right, because like you said, like, someone could have took those words what I heard and just,
Yeah.
like, to say, okay, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
And instead, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It helped being, I say this all the time, school is too expensive. You know what I mean? Like, too expensive. But what I didn't know when I reflect, and it kind of goes back to what you said, what school did was it put you in a room with like-minded people. And that is so powerful, because now you see people just like you who has a dream. And it's like, you know what? When I think about those projects I had to shoot, that we had to do for our portfolio, most people had this mindset, is kind of like what you said, finding a way. There's not a no. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot this. I'm going to do this. We're going to find a way to get it done. It was like this thing I'm not going to let nothing get in my way in life. You know what I mean? And that energy is so strong.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because once you leave, you graduate, it ain't like that. You know what I mean? People will find excuses not to do something. Oh, I'm not available with this and this. But when you in that room, it's different. That's no, it's not an option. We're going to figure this out. We're going to do it. And I remember doing projects just like that. Yeah, so, but it don't need to be that expensive.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah. There's, when you was talking about that, it reminded me sort of an experience I did have. I want to say it was my last, was it my last semester at Georgia State? It was either my last year or my last semester. But because I was in the theater program, I was a part of the Players, the GSU Players, which was just like the theater club. And we did, and it's something that I would love to do again, just maybe in a different way. And now that like we're all old, older, we did a 24, but, and then also adding in other mediums, but we did a 24-hour theater festival. They let us do a lock-in in Dahlberg Hall, where the theater was. We all got there like around 6 something, checked in, whatever. You bought your sleeping bags, whatever you wanted to bring, snacks, whatever. They had food. We did have food and stuff. And then we met up in the auditorium. We picked numbers. We like drew numbers from a hat or a bucket or whatever. And whatever number you got, that's the group that you were in. And then you had to decide who was the writer, who was the director, who are the actors. And you collaborating, you had to write a script, rehearse it, and then the next day, in 24 hours, you did get like a rehearsal time, and then the next day you performed. The show was on and everybody had their time slot. And, some of them are like so good. Yeah. Some of them were so good. Some of them, it's okay. It was the effort, that went into it. But I just remember like, this is just so great. And I was like, just imagine if I just had like a group of like creatives that I can say, y'all, this day we're going to do a lock-in. We're going to either collaborate or you can do individual, but we're going to lock ourselves into a space to just create whatever. And then the next day we got to present it to everybody.
I love that. Because when you're saying that, I was literally putting the pieces here. Here. Like it's done.
Yeah.
We're bringing that to life. Yeah. Like it's such a Beautiful experience.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes you just have to have a challenge. Sometimes you have to have a challenge. Like I know sometimes I get into space, like a space where I can't create. Like I have like a blockage. And sometimes it can be hard moving out of that. And I think sometimes if we have a challenge and we're around other people who are also in the same boat with a challenge, it kind of can fuel your creativity. Even if it might not even be the best that you can do, you did something. And that's something that I want to be able to eventually do with the art community. It's like we come together, we show, if we're working on something, but we're not sure about it, let's meet and let's have a meeting. I'm sorry, Chris.
And pick up with
Okay. If we have a meeting, we're working on something or whatever, we can bring our work into a safe space and be like, this is what I'm working on, but I need a little bit of help, or I don't know which direction, I'm going in, I want that.
I love this because I'm thinking networks, who people, curators, and everything to. It's just I truly believe like this is a lifelong journey like we're tapping into right now, because like what you're saying is something that's been resonating like with me and on the back of my head too, because like my purpose is to awaken the collective unconscious. Like what are the ways to bring that to life?
Yeah.
And what you're saying is just like on it, bringing community together and like creating spaces.
Yeah.
Like I said, creating spaces, and then, providing the tools for artists to just express themselves and create something new. Because in that, there's so much uncertainty in that, but there's so much birth in that too.
Yeah.
So it's done. So we're gonna do that. That's lit.
Where you draw your inspiration from with creating your pieces? Like I was with you just a few moments ago, and you said, "Hey, I saw this birthmark, and it inspired me."
Yeah.
Like the subtleness. I said all the time, like sometimes people don't know the subtleness of things really captures people's attention. So, like, where do you draw your inspiration?
Well, I would say my experiences, like my insecurities mostly, like and we all have birthmarks. I'm not sure. Like I have like stretch marks here and there. Like when it'd be like those one comment, like oh, why is that like that? And then like since you're little, like, oh, I don't want no one to see, and you cover up, do all that stuff, And I'm just thinking like if she was little, and who said something, like someone has to be that one to say something.
Yeah.
I want to take that away and paint that and be like, yo, this is beautiful. Is beautiful, period. Like, and just give her that confidence, and all the people in the world that confidence. Like I've been captured, that I'm a standard or something, like, like just be like, I am that I am. Like, right. It's just bring uniqueness out as to a way for it to just be without it being questioned. Like it's not common, it's a beauty. It's a blessing, What chance to have a birthmark on your face, like, especially on your eye. And, my culture, like my mother has a birthmark, my grandma has one, my sister has one. It's like, it's just in our bloodline. So for hers is very unique. It's on her face. And I think it would just be a beautiful painting, especially like just to paint that. An African American woman, a Black American, to be very specific, like just paint more art of Black Americans in the high art space, and just bring that and be like, yo, this is the standard. And just saying that, like, that's the precision and the direction I want to take my art next.
Dope.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, when I was doing some searches, I think he did a piece with Voice ATL and Canvas, I think, and you talk about Black art, and it kind of brings me to a space of, since we're talking about it, what is the struggle of a Black artist breaking into the fine art world? You know, like because I share a story with you. Like, I mean, I told Ariel
Please.
I did a shoot for my guy Jesse, and Jesse paid me to set up the cameras, the lights, the audio, and he produced it. Interviewed the guy. No, he white guy, whatever. And towards the end, I shot some B-roll with him in the room, you know, talking with the other people, and I was like couple feet away from Jesse. Like, we standing right there. I had the camera and stuff. And the guy looked at Jesse and said, "Thanks, Jesse." And he never acknowledged me. Never. Like, yo, it was so crazy because, like, I remember putting a microphone on him, a wireless microphone on him. And then, I wish I could use the word I really want to say, but, like, I know he kept just doing like this. Head just up in the air.
Oh wow!
Like, but you know, like I'm thinking, like now that didn't register because I'm thinking, like, you know, COVID is kind of coming back, so you know, I didn't have I didn't have my mask on, so I was just like, you know, I ain't think nothing of it. But when he did what he did, it hit different. I said maybe that nose up hits different. Maybe it ain't about COVID. Maybe you just didn't want to breathe my blackness. You know what I mean? Who knows? But yeah, so that's, I mean, that's gonna be forever. You know what I mean? So to me, tell me your journey and the stories, the difficulties that you have breaking into the fine art world.
Yeah. Let me ask you, are you black American?
Yeah, black.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm an immigrant coming in. So the view is like, oh, like America has this, I didn't understand what was going on.
Until you got here.
I was like 4th grade. I was like, why are you treating me? I didn't understand because it's still, I don't play that societal game that people do. It's a game people do. You could be the most racist person. I promise. I'm not gonna give you that thing. I'm gonna kill you with kindness.
Yeah.
It's like they snap out of it. Like, wait, you're just human. Like it's so interesting. But like you're saying, like going through the system and being a black artist. I remember Georgia State showed me that there was like a student exhibition where you submit your art and you get into a space, right? And like I've gone into many spaces with my art, and before going to university, I got the highest AP score for art, so I skipped some courses to get into Georgia State. So when I applied today, I was like, okay, easy.
Yeah.
But I didn't get in. And then when I saw
to the exhibition,
when I went there and I saw it, I was like, that's why I didn't get in.
It was predominantly all white artists. White artists.
Yes. And I was like, oh, gotcha. It just opened my eyes, like, you know. But with that, you know, some closed doors are blessings, like redirections. Like I always believe in that universal thing. Like, you know, like that wasn't for me, because what happened was I went to SCAD and I got my art there, and that led to a painting sold in California. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't sweat on that stuff, because what's mine is mine, what's not mine is not mine. Like, you know. So with experiences like that, it's just like it's not personal, like when they do that too, because I feel bad for racist people, because your only claim to your self-authority over someone else is your skin color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we bring out the facts and everything, it's insufficient. You're literally, no, I'm not being malicious, but it's just something to hold me up to in my blackness, to be like, oh, I have what you don't have. I have melanin. You do not have it. So how can you say you're superior to me? Like, in that, your logic is just flawed. So it's just you're missing stuff. So for who like you are to have what you got going on, and them to act like that, they still need that validation from you. Like, you know, it's just you need something. You're set.
Yeah.
In your, like, you have more than what other people to do. Like, one thing I tell my sisters, because they didn't get they grew up from scratch in America, so they had to go through the system with the American system. So my sister felt really out of place, and I tell her, like, you know, you have, it's like they need to add, but let me reframe it first. It's like a saying I always tell her: you can get what they have, but they can't get what you have. You know, nose, right? You can get a nose job to get it small, but they can't get a nose job to get it big like yours, or like to get its size like you know. They can get tan to whatever, like there's a limit to that. But you can get light to be like them, like just bleach. But like, you know, it's all that, like, but it's never gonna be that authentic, that original, like, you know, the full spectrum of what you are, which is like your black form. So I always remind them, like, you know, there's so much power from that. You know, it's the source. You can go from here to there, but the steps to get back there, it's not really.
When I started to really hone in on like my blackness and like really understanding like where my black identity lies and what it means to me, it's like, because it's hard, like even for Black Americans, like because of the history.
You open up a sensitive portal right now. Let me prepare myself, because that's the healing that needs to be done. The identity, like the holding on to where am I from, the questioning. So let me prepare myself. Please go ahead.
But it's like when you're understanding who you are, and then it's like the more you learn about your history, which is like we see that they're trying to mute that, they're trying to rewrite that, and it's like you can't. It's like no matter what, just because you write a book don't make it true, right? Just because
that's new.
Just because they want to change some things and that never happened, that, you know, they want to change history, that doesn't make it true. They can write however many books they want to say something other than the truth,
right?
But if you know, and then you can teach that, there's so many things that go into the issues that Black people have with themselves and other people, right? But the truth will still remain that if we all just loved ourselves, if we can start to navigate that, you know what, these pressures, these ideas were put on us.
Facts.
But they are not who we are. And then we can appreciate ourselves more, love ourselves more, have a better understanding of our heritage. Like, we can just move mountains out. I mean, Black people need so much healing. That's all I got to say. Like,
that's so true.
You know, so wait, where was I going with this? Y'all lost my train of thought.
No, it's all good. We're just talking about the blackness.
Wow. I just got so into that thought that I
struggle of
you
artists.
opened up. You had to open that because the healing, it's so, and I'm always on the outside looking in, no matter what. Sexuality, identity, like gender, all that stuff. I always like, it's like the impact, like it's very spiritual, you know? When I can see that, you know, Black Americans don't really see themselves as Americans. I would say that, like but everyone outside the world just looking like, you're American. But inside the American system, it's like, the race war is like, what is up? No one sees that. I think South Africa got their own system, whatever going, but we don't see that like that. This is very interesting. And it just comes from healing and conditioning and all that stuff. Like the stories you're told is, I'm very grateful to have my grandma. Like my grandma is a queen mother in Ghana. Like, you know, we have our clan. She tells me about my heritage and everything. But a lot of people don't know. It's like a cord that's been cut. They don't know. It's been a question like, oh, where is my source and everything from? When I was little, I wish I saw more art of people like me. Like, you know, just like Black people being excellent. So I was like,
and that's why I love the underground, like going to the arts at the underground, because I was like, the first time I went, it was such a great experience. And I was like, I don't think I've ever been inside of a space where I saw so much Black art at once. It was like, that was, because if you go to the High Museum, if you go to, you know, like start, like, you know, if you go to certain galleries, unless it's, you know, unless it's just a specified Black gallery or whatever, you can go into other galleries and you're not like the amount of black art is not really present like it is with your white counterparts. So that's in a lot of
That's
creative
powerful.
spaces. So,
Just open. Like,
so yeah. So when I
you
went
keep
to
opening portals.
Yeah.
so when I went to underground and I was like, oh my God, it's so much like black art here. I was like thrilled. I was happy. I was like, this felt good. It felt good. It felt like home.
And it felt good for me also to actually talk to the artists.
Yeah.
And talk to other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love it. Like you said, like when you share something and people just start sharing what they saw, you're like, man, I ain't never thought about it like that. And it's such a, like you said, wow. Like you realize how powerful what you do is. You just don't even know, like, and everybody has their own visual and their own idea behind it, you know what I mean, which is beautiful.
Especially with there's this painting, gold tsunami, red tsunami, blue tsunami. Like there's a do-rag.
Oh yeah, I'll talk to you about that. Yeah.
Like I felt that because I saw that Black Americans and especially men, there's a stereotype like, you don't be emotional, you just a big box. I'm like, yo, they're not telling y'all what they feeling. There's so much deep hurt, like, and I painted that. They just walk in and just look at me. I could see it, like, I could just see. I was like, wow. I just get chills, like just talking to people, and then it comes back to representation. Like,
Right.
I know that's my job. Like it's my calling to do that for people. Like painting all these like Black women from different shades. I painted like this light skinned woman for Metamorphosis, and when girls of that complexion see that, that's one thing. And then there's another one, Garden Blossom, where she has an afro with flowers in her hair. No makeup. It's like natural too. And they're like, oh wow, like you know, it just shows you different like sides of how you can express yourself. And God,
You talk about those pictures of the do-rag. It brought a little bit of happiness to me because I was like, it made me think of middle school. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Just like having the do-rag on, walking in the class, and the teacher like, yo, take that because like you couldn't wear hats in school.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
so you sitting in the
I'm
shade.
gonna have to make that into a painting.
Yo, and you
That
just
sounds dope.
unwind it, and you got this big old crease in your but the waist is on point, yo. You feel real good. You feel real good. Yeah, it brought
That's
laughter to my
dope.
heart.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. That needs to be. See, that's a collective.
Yeah.
Like conscious, like,
Yeah.
it's just a field of shared memories that we know, like that mark.
Yeah,
We know.
No, we know.
Yeah, we know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just all know. Like
Yeah.
burnt comb, like hot, I don't know.
Yeah,
like
hot combs.
and
the hot
everything.
combs, yeah.
Exactly too.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh
just
my
a
God.
shared thing. So when everyone sees it, we just all
Yeah.
vibe together, and being able to tap that and put it onto a canvas.
Yeah.
That energy behind that is just like,
Yeah.
Ooh, when you said hot comb, I kind of flinched a little
Yeah,
bit.
I know. You done getting burnt. Yo.
And this was like when elementary school, my mom, if she would use the hot comb,
Yeah.
and she have to put it on the stove because it wasn't electric, so it was the one that you have to turn the stove on
Yeah.
and sit the hot comb on the stove, and then let it heat up, and then she'd go and do my hair or whatever. I don't think she used it that much, but she used to use it. I would be like, "Woo!" I used to be scared and be like, "Oh my God."
I want to touch on a quote you said, which I love. It says, "A mindset of a non-creative is to work for others, and the mindset of a creative is to create for others." So I love that quote, by the way. And with that mind, when did you recognize that? And do you feel like do you have to protect yourself from people allowing them in to kind of put like this, not support you? You know what I mean? Because I feel you. Like I feel that way as an independent business owner, as a creative, as an artist. It's like some people who just want to go to work 9 to 5, they don't understand the mindset of like creating. Like I remember a story of, this was like 2011. I was working at Lowe's and I was making like $10 an hour. And so this girl I was courting, and she was just like, "Why don't you go somewhere else and make more money?" At the time, probably like the highest pay, maybe 15, and I didn't want to leave because what Lowe's did was they allowed me to leave and go do my art. Like, it was people there banding together. Like, I had to tell my man, I'm like, yo, I need to go do this, go do that. He said, man, look, we'll cover for you. And I know if I go somewhere else getting paid 15, they not doing that. They gonna give that ultimatum. Either you gonna choose that or choose this. And you know, and more than likely I probably chose them because I'm thinking about paying my rent.
Yeah.
But that power of them allowing me to leave and go create my art and just kind of build my brand and meet people, that me doing that allowed me to meet somebody to pull me out of that system at Lowe's. So it was just so profound. So I said that to you. Do you feel the need to protect yourself away from people who don't understand what you're doing?
Yeah. So that quote came from me answering that question about the creative, like the difference between like the non-creatives and the creatives, right? And the protection of other people. It's mostly like alignment. If someone's saying something that doesn't align, I tune out. Like,
right.
Fact. Like I'm not present. So that's always been my, like, I always pray for the spirit of understanding and discernment. Like, I'm very tapped into like universe, God, because this painting is a channeling. Like, it's a type of thing. It's bigger than me. Yeah. Because it's for someone else. Like, you know, they need to see that. Like, you know, to open up something for them. Yeah. And with that, you know, it's very different because I'm investing my time that way. I think of it as an exchange of time in the workforce. Like, we make it very mundane. Like, we're just going to work 9 to 5 and do all that stuff. But deep down, energetically, you're dedicating your hours, your life hours on this earth. Literally, if you sit there and be like, oh, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, you're taking your youth and exchanging it for that so you can live a certain way. But if you realize that if you were to go through that little bit of a hardship, you know, to go on that creative path, that path that you're digging to find that your highest form of self, and then when you find it and you embody that self, can you just imagine the level of abundance, the opportunities that'll come your way? Like, you know, if you just go through that struggle, or you could just conform and just, like, you know, do that, like, you know, or you can just live your wildest dreams. Like, it's up to you.
It's always difficult explaining to people that are not creatives what you're doing, or, you know, the people that are more practical and they don't understand. And I've gotten into this space where it's just where I'm starting to be like, you know what? It is not for everybody to understand. If I understand,
why not? That's the answer.
That's the key.
That's it. You know, it's like, you know, because it's creatives and you're a dreamer and you're just like, you know what? I know it's going to happen. And I think what really was a pivotal point in my thinking of that, in being like, you know what? I'm gonna ride the wave and I'm gonna let this be a journey that is gonna be what it's gonna be. Yeah. When I was reading a book, it's actually on the shelf over there. It's a book about Langston Hughes. And I was reading the book and it was talking about like his journey as a writer. He was always a writer, but he didn't really start getting paid for his work until he was like, I think in his 50s. Yeah. But he was always writing. He was part of the movements of his time, and he was always writing. He was a busboy. He did it. He was a busboy. He worked on ships, like, you know, cargo ships, and he would do like certain odd jobs, you know, on there. But he was traveling, you know, while he was doing, because the cargo ships are going to different countries and, you know, all of that. So, you know, he was really living like that artist life. And when I was like, gosh, he really didn't start seeing the fruit of his work until he was like you know, later, like, you know, middle age. I was just like, of course times are different than the 30s and, you know, that time. So, you know, we can start to, you know, make money here and there until, you know, we hit that pivotal point where, you know, our careers take off creatively. But, you know, so times are different. We're not all like completely struggling artists. Right. But I was just like, it is just really a journey. And when you are creative, it's like, that's just what you are. Like, not everybody is going to understand that or see that when you, like when you said, like, you painted a picture and you painted that because somebody else needed to see it. Mm-hmm. It was like, mind blowing because it's true. Like, you have to, as a creative, you have all these things in you, and it's hard to explain. That's something that I've been with my own artwork. It's like, gee, like I can tell you something so super profound about the painting that I did that's hanging on the wall, but the reality is just like I had this feeling and it needed to come out, and then that's just what it came out to be.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's spiritual.
Yeah.
It's spiritual. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's a journey. And like you were saying with his story, like, it's seasons. You know, he had to go through a seasons of, like, you know, working before being discovered with his writings and everything.
But he was known. You know, he was known. He was even listed, you know, when they were doing the whole like communist, like, oh, you know, the blacklist of people that they were trying to say that were communists or whatever. He was on that list. Like, you know, he was known, but I mean, like, financially, you know, and that's where when we, now it's like non-creatives, when they don't understand, like, well, you know, but you need a job, you got to pay your bills, you got to do X, Y, and Z, you need this, and that, you got to have benefits. And it's like, you know, it comes from a well place. Like, it comes from a place that they, because that's what they know.
Praise.
You know, but as a creative, you're just like you said, this is beyond me. I'm seeing something totally different. I can't explain it. Yeah, I can't explain it. This is beyond me. This is above me. This is God. This is divine. This is spiritual. This is a whole nother level of like, it's like, this is just what you do. And it's hard to explain that to non-creatives.
I do believe creativity is a God given, because God created everything around us.
Everything.
So like
God is an artist.
Yeah, exactly. So like
we are
it's vessels, you know what I mean? He uses us as his vessels. Going back to like kind of like art in general and the value of art. You also talk about making it immersive and things like that. Like how do you, and I don't know if you want to share too much about it, but how you know, you see where it's going, AI. You know what I mean? Like we went, so we went there. I remember we was in this room and
at the underground. It was like one of the first exhibits when you came out, and they had the Firefly was the Firefly.
Yeah, and you type in what you want. You can be as detailed as you want, and they created these images of like what you type, and it was like, man, like for digital art, like that's really gonna hurt, because like, you know, they already it really is. Yeah. So you have to make it more. I want to say it seems like it has to go to more of a physical space, something that you can hold. You know what I mean? And so, what are your plans to help keep the value of your art and not be diminished by like digital? You know what I mean? By people creating AI and doing these things to devalue what we're creating that's given to us from God.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you're asking this question. I need to have a conversation with my dad, because I feel like he knew what he was doing when he's like, go to the direction of animation.
Yo, that's when you said that. I said, I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah,
like he knew like where the world was going. And now AI, I love AI. It's an enhancement, not it's not a replacement. It can never replace a human being. It just enhances, like, if I need an idea, if I need to explain something, I just type in, like, you know, like.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. It just amplifies what I'm doing. I have this vision in my head that in the future, it's going to happen. It is happening, because this is the steps to get there. Like, I love ChatGPT. I call Chat Luke Redden. When I was little, like, you know, the holograms, like I could see it popping up. Like, that's my personal assistant. And this is just the framework and the steps to get there. In the future, it's going to be projected up, talking to me in like physical form. Like, that's the next step, because we got Siri, we got all these things. The next step is just create. And have you seen the Apple Vision?
I haven't seen it yet,
The-
but I heard
the-
about it.
Like,
Oh, like the meta with the like the kind of how the
Yeah.
metaverse with the
Yeah.
gargles.
exactly. And meta, like all these things, like they all is tapped into this vision of the future. And growing up, like that was my vision of the future too, the holograms and all that stuff. And I see it, like I see when I see a painting, I know what the artist like was going for, and all that stuff is tapped in. So with that, I use a lot of AI for my business, like what's it called administrative tasks, because that's too much left brain.
Right.
So with my art, and I feel so bad for the illustrators, because come on,
Yeah.
just type in the style you want, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
So with my art, what I'm doing, I have this bag. This is a sample. It's not. I like the
I love
print,
that. Yeah.
but I don't like the quality of the product. So I'm just doing prototypes. But this is my painting,
I
right?
remember that. I remember seeing it.
Yeah. So this, when people see, they see the third eye, like and you said the blues and everything. So yin and yang, the shadow,
Yeah.
light, and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do for this coming up Friday, it's so crazy you asked me this question. So when you go to my Instagram and you hit the filter button, you scan it, it's gonna pop up out at you. So I'm gonna show you that later. So I'm using AR, augmented reality, to like enhance my paintings. That's why I went to do animation, so I can move them, tell the stories. Like, and you gave me a story today just now with the do-rag, because that's not my experience. That's your experience. That's a whole storyline of itself. Like doing that, and just imagine if I make a painting and you scan it, it can show you the movie of it happen. And at SCAD, I was doing animation. I was like art director for like 4 or 5 films, and it taught me a lot, because I don't know how to animate, but I know what looks good and what doesn't look good.
Right.
So just I love it. If something's new, I never see a lack or obstacle or any like. I don't see that. I see, what's this presented to me to grow, to use, to adapt, to evolve. Like I'll see that, like what's the next step to get up.
Right.
Yeah, every time.
Is there anything else you would like to add or share that we didn't cover, or you just want to just mention in general?
This is one thing. Yes. There are a lot of things are true, but there's also only one truth. Someone's experience with something, that's a fact. Someone's experience with something, that's a fact. But deep down, there's this one thing that's the truth. So always chase the truth and find that.
Beautiful. I love it. This has been so great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking with us. I look forward to connecting with you more and maybe collaborating and then seeing your journey unfold. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening. I want to thank Chris for holding it down and being a great team player and partner for the art community. It takes a village for everything that we do. So I appreciate everyone who is helping me with this community. And I love you guys so much. So excited. So this was really great. And you can find us now. The art community is now just the art community, DAART community. It's a long word to spell. COMMUNITY. And you can find us on Instagram at the art community. And then the website is also theartcommunity.com.
Hey, and I'm bad with social media, so I forgot that Kobe this. Where can people follow you?
Yes. My IG is Kobe Opare, KOBEOPARE, and TikTok as well. So yeah.
And you have a website?
A website still being built.
Okay.
KobeOpare.art. So you can find my work there as well.
Hey.
Yeah, every first Friday, if you want to check out Kobe's work, you can catch him at the Arts at Underground. Every first Friday. From 10 to like 3 a.m.?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a fun time, guys.
Yeah. If you grown like me, get your nap in. Before you come out. But yeah, man, thanks for listening. And until next time, like I said, thank you for sharing your story, your journey. I look forward to seeing how your art evolutionized, because I have this whole idea too, how to evolutionize what I'm doing too, but that's a whole nother topic, so I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, thank you all, and until next time, peace.
Peace.